Hello, FPL managers. Welcome to the FPL Optimized podcast. This is episode number 67, which we are recording now during the end of the international break as we are preparing for Gameweek 13. We're looking forward to having FPL and its excitement back in our lives again this weekend. I am Bas, the casual manager, and my co host is Sertalp, the data scientist. This is the podcast in which we combine analytics with the good old eye test. Data or grass, or data and grass? That's the question. Last week, we had a great chat with our guest Luke. We hope you enjoyed it. And today, we're back with our regular format. And to start things off, let's still review how our previous game week went.
I will start. I finished the game week with 81 points, so it was a good game week in general. My game week rank was 1.1 million, which brings
Mhm.
my overall rank to 65k.
Nice.
That's good. I mean, having a green arrow is always nice,
Yeah.
and despite not owning Haaland, so I'm glad that Salah actually matched Haaland's points
Mm.
somehow. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good game week in general. So
Okay.
well, the only painful part is for like many people is benching Tsimikas, his
Yeah.
15 pointer. But other
Yeah.
than that, it was a good game week. How was it for you?
Yeah. Not too bad, but with 75, I was below your score. I
Hmm.
had a game week rank of 2.3 million. So yeah, it was okay. Yeah, as you said, like many managers, also I had Simikas on the bench. For me, he was the first one on the bench,
Oh.
and I saw a lot of people saying that they didn't mind it too much because they never really thought of playing him. But for me, it was different because I
Hmm.
was thinking about it the whole week. It was between him and Pedro Porro, so it
Hmm.
was a bit of a coin toss. Sorry, and I went with Porro because I thought his minutes looked more secure. And actually, when watching the Spurs game against Wolves, for most of the game, it looked pretty good. Like Porro had
Hmm.
an assist, Spurs kept a clean sheet, and Porro was even in the bonus. But then, of course, Wolves decided to score 2 goals in extra time, and that changed everything. So yeah, 5 points for Porro, and the gap with 10 points versus Tsimikas. So yeah, but yeah, that's how FPL works. But for the rest, no, I had 8 points from Onana. I was quite happy with that. And indeed, as you said, 16 points from Salah, but then also 16 for my captain Haaland, so 32 in total. But it was a bit of a nervous day that day because Liverpool played first, and of
Yes.
course Salah had a big score. So after that, yeah, I was a bit worried about what Haaland would do, but luckily he could get a similar score. So that was quite good, and it's actually quite nice to own Salah and Haaland together.
Hmm.
I must say. So yeah, a green arrow, but below your score. So in our head-to-head friendly competition, I should say, you have extended your lead now to 7-5, I
Mm.
believe.
Yeah, it will get bigger and bigger, hopefully.
No, 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 that won't, man. Still got my wild card. I have big plans for the next week. So
Okay,
Wa-
okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
will hear
watch
about
out.
them next week.
Yeah, all right. Okay, well, that was game week 12. Let's move on now, as we'll have plenty to discuss in
Hmm.
preparation for game week 13.
So yeah, the first thing I want to talk about today is the model accuracy, but we were comparing the model accuracy in terms of points. So this week we have decided to share with you something different. So it
Hmm.
is model accuracy in terms of minute prediction.
Oh, okay.
Because sounds like minute prediction is playing a very critical role today. I mean, that's probably one of the edges left in the game for people who are playing the game analytically. So predicting which player will play and how many minutes they will play is
Yeah,
a very critical thing to do. And we
definitely.
check the accuracy of the models, and I want to mention one thing that Mikhail Tokman doesn't have defender and goalkeeper minute prediction.
Oh,
That gives results for his model, but all the others have, except Fantasy Football Fix, which we don't have in this comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we haven't ordered these models because we weren't sure how to interpret these results, but we also filtered players who are owned more than 5% to keep only the relevant players in the data. And
Okay.
also, we also kept only players who are predicted to play over 45 minutes.
Mm.
And based on these results, I mean, so three models have almost like zero mean, meaning that they are not biased one way or another. And these are Fantasy Football Hub, FPL Review, and FPL Team. And also Mikel Tokman too. Um, in among these, I feel like Fantasy Football Hub has like is one step ahead compared to others. Uh,
Okay.
their uh, their quartiles are just narrower. I mean, if you are watching on YouTube, the box plot is narrow, and I think their minute predictions are a little bit better.
Okay.
But also, I want to mention here that for FBR Review is the only model which allows users to change minutes. And
Mm.
if you change minutes based on how accurate you were in the past, it impacts everyone's. Like if I am just a user and if someone else is changing the minute, and if
Yeah.
that guy is a reliable predictor, the default expected minute I see on my screen changes when I
Oh, really?
refresh the page. Yeah. So
Okay.
because of it, it is not only model, it is like model plus like wisdom of the crowd, if you want to
Okay.
say it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and also since by position it changes, we also check the data split by positions. And
Okay. Well.
it's very noticeable that Mikael Tokman's lack of defender minutes is very obvious here.
You're
But
right.
for all the others, midfield minute predictions seems a little bit more reliable than forwards. And
Mm.
again, Fantasy Football Hub is doing a great job in this category, especially, which makes their model a little bit ahead of the others. But one more thing to note here is that among these models, Fantasy Football Scott has also a low error, but
Okay.
they are consistently overestimating the minutes, it looks like. I
Uh,
mean, both for defenders, midfielders, and also for forwards, their minutes are always a little bit. So the mean is not zero; it's always positive. And so even though it sounds like they have the good idea, I think there might be an issue either with our how we get the data, or maybe they are overestimating one way or another.
mm. Mm.
Yeah, that was the uh, accuracy report. Do you have any questions on this?
No, I just find it interesting how you find new ways to look at the data every time. So thanks for bringing this one up.
Sure.
And also very colorful. I like the colors.
Yeah, Neil Rankin, ZA, he prepared all these charts and yeah,
Okay, great.
picked a nice color scheme.
Thanks for that, Neil. All right. So that was a bit a look at the models, and in this
Mm-hmm.
case, the minutes accuracy. So let's now take a look at our version of the fixture ticker, as we usually do, by looking at the teams ranked by offensive and defensive expected performance for the next period of time. And I think we can also cover some odds again for game week 13, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
This game week is just terrible in terms of FPL, and it's great
Yeah.
for football because well, the City is playing against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So and also we have like tough matches overall for good teams.
Yes. Yes.
So we don't have really a favorable fixture in here, but I will
Mm.
tell all the teams in order of the fixture difficulty for the next
Okay.
6 game weeks.
Yeah.
So we have Arsenal in the first spot, then we have Manchester City, Liverpool, Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, Manchester United, West Ham, Tottenham, and Aston Villa. And
Okay.
among all these, the only favorable fixture, and it's favorable but with an asterisk probably, is Manchester
Mhm.
City's offense is predicted to get at least 5 points per 90 minutes. So that's the only favorable fixture. But they are
For
playing
game week
against Liverpool
13,
at
yeah?
home. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
for the game week 13.
Right. Liverpool
Arsenal
at
is at
home.
the
Yeah.
top spot because they are playing against Wolves in game week 14 and Luton Town in game week 15. Those
Yeah.
are favorable fixtures and they are close.
Mm.
And then City is here because they have, well, Tottenham game in game week 14, which seems like a favorable fixture, but they also have Luton Town and Crystal Palace. And the funny thing
Yeah.
is, Manchester City is at the second spot, despite
Mm.
having a black in game week 18,
Yeah.
which is now in
Yeah.
our horizon.
Yeah.
And I think Manchester City will keep falling down a little bit as we get closer
Right.
because we are giving a higher weight to immediate game week. And then we have
Yeah.
Liverpool, who's playing against City this game week, which is a tough fixture. But in game week 14, they are playing against Fulham, favorable fixture. And then in game week 15, they are playing against Sheffield United at away, which is also a favorable fixture.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments, questions, concerns?
No, I think it's something that we commented on in previous weeks, the good run of fixtures for Chelsea that is coming up, and I think we can see that now
Mm.
gradually also in the chart. We can see Chelsea moving up, so they're now number 6 in the chart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely, I think, something to keep an eye on. Also, in recent weeks, they've been performing quite well.
Yeah.
And I think people are also keeping Nkunku in mind, even though, of course, he has been injured for a long time. But he's supposedly he could be back quite soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to keep an eye on, how his form is and what kind of minutes he will get.
Yeah. So
And for the rest, yeah, as you said, Manchester City against Brentford in game week 18. So that will be a blank for the two teams. And something to start considering, like how you want to cover that, depending, of course, on how many players you own from the both teams.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And basically linked to that, and that's not announced yet, but I think there are some rumors, or there are some, how to say, ideas that that fixture could, I think it could move to something like game week 20. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So
That's what I
yeah,
heard too.
so
So
we
that's
might have a
why,
double. Yeah.
yeah, that's why solvers usually enter that week with triple city, like game week 18,
Okay.
just benching them. So that
Right.
game week you won't have any bench at all.
Yeah.
But on the plus side, you will have like 3 city players who will double in game week 20, most probably.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and another popular option will be Mbuemo, of course, from Brentford.
Mm.
So that's something to keep in mind. If you do have three city players plus Mbuemo on top, then it's four. That might be too much for a game week 18. So that's something you need to, get ready for, to have a plan in place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks for this. So these are the
Mm-hmm.
top teams.
Yeah.
Let's now look at the bottom half of the table.
Yeah, at the bottom half we have Sheffield United, Luton Town, Brentford, Bournemouth, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Everton, Burnley, and Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Brentford is here, well, because of the blank in game week 18
Yeah,
again, but they also
yeah,
have a tough fixture this game week playing against
yeah,
Arsenal
yeah,
at home. But none of these fixtures are making the worst 10 percentile, meaning that this week most of the games are very balanced. I will also show it in the game week odds, but um, so yeah, I mean, so these some of these teams were always here in this half of the chart, but there are slight movements, obviously, and just
yeah.
Brentford is just so obvious. I mean, they have a really good fixture in game week 14. They are playing against Luton Town at
Right.
home. But yeah, they don't have any like unfavorable fixture in this run, but game week
No.
18 is impacting. Yeah,
Yeah, because also game week 16 they play Sheffield
yeah,
away, so that's
that's
also
also a
quite a
good
good
game.
fixture. And you could say even Brighton is a good fixture because we know that defensively Brighton hasn't been great. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also why that many people are looking at game week 14. If you don't own Mbuemo yet, to then bring him in for that week because there's a nice run. But again, keep in mind that in game week 18 there will be a blank.
Yeah.
And the other thing maybe to comment on is Everton, right? They've been really improving, so they
Mm-hmm.
look really decent. but of course they just received the 10 points deduction, a penalty. So
Yeah.
that's something that's yeah, not so nice. Understatement. But as also many other people already said, if you get such, let's say, punishment, probably this is the best season to get it, because there are just some worse teams in the league. So even with the 10 points deduction, yeah, probably they can still be safe this season, and maybe it will also motivate them to do even better. So that's
Yeah.
something to also keep an eye on. They were already doing well, so let's see what this news will do to the team. Maybe they will be even stronger. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we will see.
Yeah. Okay,
And
thank
and
you.
and lastly, I want to cover the Gameweek odds very
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
So first thing to note for this game week is clean sheet odds are really low. I mean, usually we have a
Mm,
team like above 50% clean sheet ratio, but none
yeah.
of the teams have higher than 39%, which is the maximum, and it's for Arsenal. Arsenal's clean sheet probability
Okay.
or odds, I should say.
Yeah.
And so and the game with the highest goal projection for a team is Manchester City with 2.1 expected goals against Liverpool. And
Mm,
that's also really low. I mean, it's the lowest since the start of the season. So the games
okay.
this game week will be, so so it's just funny that it's the lowest expected goals, but at the same time also the lowest clean sheet probability.
Right.
So we are
Okay.
kind of like expecting these games to be close, like all of these games, but
Yeah.
not dominated one side at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, for a football fan, I think it will be a nice weekend, but
Yeah.
for us, for FPL managers, it will be hell of difficult to predict,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen this game week.
Yeah. 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 I think we should expect a low scoring week, but the good thing is that we face all the same situation, right? It's
Mhm.
quite tough for everyone, and on top of that, there are also quite some injuries, or at least let's say some yellow flags, some probably injuries. We're waiting
Yeah.
for some updates,
Hmm.
so that's some another thing that is kind of complicating it at the moment.
Yep.
Okay, very useful. Thanks for covering that. So
Sure.
we looked at the teams to target. Let's now also look at some of the individual players.
Player changes. So for the top gains, we have Isaac at the top of
Hmm.
the chart with 3.2 EV increase for the next 6 game weeks.
Okay.
And then in the second rank, we have Tsimikas. I think
Hmm.
he was a dub, and then now his minutes are a little bit back. But
Yeah.
I heard that was he benched for for today's game for Greece? So hopefully it's not nothing serious. But we
Hmm.
pulled this data last night, so maybe it wasn't there when we were checking it.
Okay.
And James of Chelsea's defender is the third player here with
Yeah.
1.9 increase in EV, and all the other players seem like, it's just minute changes in general, nothing too
Hmm.
important to note, I guess. Um,
No.
any comments here?
No, I think Isaac is interesting because Wilson is injured. Isaac is
Hmm.
back from injury, but we have seen that he has been struggling with some little injuries every now and then. So I think it's kind of a bet you're placing then on Isaac. But of course, yeah, we know Newcastle has a good attack, and Isaac, when he plays, he's often scoring goals. So it's a player you could consider. And as you mentioned, Reece James, yeah, we talked about it before, right? It's kind of always the question, like, when will he
Hmm.
get injured again? But of course, we hope he won't. And if he stays fit, then of course he's a great asset. So yeah, he's now I think fit already since a few weeks, which for him is quite a long time. So I think more and more managers are thinking like, oh, wait a minute, maybe
Yeah,
it's worth going for James again. So
it's a cycle.
yeah,
I mean, you get
it's a cycle.
James
Yeah,
and he gets injured.
yeah,
Actually, even before that, like you don't have James, he gets a haul, and then you are like, yeah, maybe I should
yeah,
get James. You get it,
yeah,
and then he
yeah,
gets injured.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
say, I will never buy him again, and then you forget
No.
about it.
We all been there, yeah. But it's good. I mean, if you look at these 10 players, I see there are 3 players from Chelsea and 3 from Arsenal. So I think
Mm,
that also gives an idea of the teams people are looking at.
mm,
Chelsea
mhm.
is, as we said, they will start a quite favorable fixture run. They also been quite impressive in recent games. So that's, I think, why people are looking at them. And Arsenal, I think, in general, is being now commented on as probably the best defense in the league,
Mhm.
together with City. So that's also, and I think we see mostly defenders here. Yeah, Sinchenko, Saliba, Gabriel. So the defensive options for Arsenal are also in the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So these are the players with the points gains.
Mhm.
Then who are the ones that dropped?
We have Mitoma at the first
Ah,
rank
yes.
here. He
Yeah.
lost 3.5 EV over the next 6 game weeks.
Yeah.
Is he injured?
Yeah, I think while he was away with the Japanese team,
Mm-hmm.
he's traveling back, but he is injured, and I think almost certain that he will miss game week 13.
Okay, I
But I
see.
don't think we have much more news than that.
Okay. And the second place we have Raya with 3.2 EV
Hmm.
loss over the next 6 game weeks. I'm not
Okay.
sure. And
No.
we have Antonio in the third place and Ferguson in the fourth place. But
Mm-hmm.
his EV reduction mainly comes from this game week, 1.3 EV loss just for game week 13,
Yeah.
and remaining game weeks are somewhat like close to zero.
Yeah.
I guess he's out for this game week.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, I was at the Netherlands Ireland game and Ferguson was playing, but he was substituted. I think after something like 50 or 60 minutes. I think
Hmm.
it was reported that he has a hamstring issue,
Oh, okay.
so probably also out for game week 13. And also Antonio has a hamstring injury, so that's also why he's dropping. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So one more thing here is I see Haaland in the ninth place with 1.2 EV loss for this game
Okay.
week, but the remaining
Yeah.
game weeks are somewhat unaffected.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the fact that he didn't play for Norway
Mm.
against Scotland.
Mm.
Um, but I'm not sure how serious it is. I mean, with the
No.
international break injuries, you're really
Yeah.
not sure if it was like
Right.
an injury or a serious injury.
Indeed.
So yeah, I don't
Indeed.
know.
I think Haaland also has a yellow flag now in the game, so it's
Oh,
something
okay.
to wait for the press conference. Even though Pep might not say too much, but yeah, let's see. Hopefully, we can get some news, as that would be important.
I'm just wondering if people are selling him though. Don't see him on the most transferred out list yet.
No,
No,
not yet. I think no.
it's
So I think
Madison
most
and
of these
Mitoma.
players are all injury related. Because also Bowen, number 10, also
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that it's not clear yet how serious it is, but he might have yeah, more or less serious knee injury, so it could be out for a few weeks.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
and he's the most transferred in player for this game week so
yeah,
far.
indeed, I saw that as well. A lot of people went early because I guess he also has been rising in price, so that's probably
Oh,
why people went early. But he left the England team, and I think I saw some news today that he had some, how do you call that, some fluid in his knee.
mm-hmm.
Even though it's not clear yet how serious it is, it doesn't look too good, I would say. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we covered also this on a player level. Now I think we can move to the optimal team for this week.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Um, Last week I was sharing the optimal team without transfers, and then we received a comment saying that, yo, what's the
Oh,
point of having these without transfers? Transfers is what we are looking these for. So I said,
okay.
okay. I mean, if that's what the audience wants. Um,
We listen
so
to the audience. Yes.
yeah, as you see. So I didn't have too much time, so I used FPL review data only for this one, and I
Sure.
assumed the team value is around 101.0.
Hmm.
And the optimal team is composed of Leno in the goal, and then we have Gabriel, Saliba, Castagne in defense.
Okay.
Saka, Mubemo, Eze, Son
All right.
in
Yeah.
midfield, and we have Solanke, Alvarez, and Haaland in forward. On
Mm.
the bench, we have Flecken, Johnson, Alexander Arnold, and Pau.
Okay.
This team starts game week 13 like this, and they're also transferring game week 14, and then makes these transfers. So it starts Gabriel for Colville in game week 15, but it
Mm.
benches him immediately.
Mm.
And then in game
Okay.
week 16 is replacing Saliba with Guardiol. As
Okay.
I mentioned, it's getting prepared for the blank and then the double. And then in game
Yeah.
week 17 is selling Mubemo for Diaby. And in game week 18 is making a double switch from Son to Bruno Fernandes and Solanke
Mm.
to Watkins. Because in game
Mm.
week 18, Watkins is the player it captains against Sheffield United.
Ah. All right.
And then in game week 18 is if you're watching, you can see that it's benching all those triple
Mm.
City players. And since we
Yeah.
already sold Mubemo earlier, so we have a full lineup here. And in game week 19, there's no transfer, and then I just banned transfers for game week 20. And
Okay.
in game week 20, I'm actually using XP, like expected data, for even 4 more game weeks. Just consolidated in a game week 20 game week. That's why the total EV is a little bit high. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
Okay. Right.
um,
Okay.
and at the end of this transfers, you have like Flecken and Leno as goalkeepers again. You have Alexander
Mm.
Arnold, Pau, Guardiol, Saka, Eze, Fernandez, Diaby, Watkins, Alvarez, Haaland, Leno, Johnson, Colville, and Castagne, which brings even more points for the next 4 game weeks after the horizon ends.
Okay. So actually, there are not too many Chelsea players, right? I'm a bit surprised. Just
Yeah.
Colwell.
That's true.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, and game week 18, I mean, we talked about it earlier, right? It's a blank game week. It's still a bit early to think about it as we're only now at game week 13. But if you do think about it, we already said be careful with City and Brentford because they will blank. And I think the other thing people are saying is that there are not too many good fixtures. And one of the
Mm.
only teams that have a good fixture is Villa. So that's why also what Sertalp was saying, Watkins is being shown as the captain for that week.
Yeah.
So it could be a reason, for example, people who have cash at the moment and considering selling him, maybe one thought could be to keep him, especially for this game week 18 in mind. But again, as I said, it's a bit long away, but yeah, you could keep it in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, just a warning here is this transfer plan, for example, has exactly 0 in the bank by game week 18 when it
Right.
makes a double
Okay.
switch. So
Yeah.
there's a high chance that you won't have the budget to cover these transfers by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I kind of also added an option to the solver, which makes you lose 0.1 in the bank every time you make a transfer. So it's kind of like a worst case scenario. Like, what if you constantly lose value from your
Yeah.
transfers? But those kind of stuff might be useful. I mean, if you are just making a long-term planning here, just be
Yeah.
careful with the amount in the bank,
Yeah.
because the replacement, like if you can afford this, Solver will obviously want to have Watkins, and then downgrading from Son to Bruno Fernandes might look a little bit different for you in that case, and it will
Yeah.
make you bleed expected value.
Yeah.
So it is just, I think it's important to see this kind of stuff when you're doing the long-term planning, and maybe also try with a lower team value, or maybe start the horizon with a lower in the bank amount, just to see if the optimal changed too much or not.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. All right. Thanks for covering that.
hmm
And actually, I had a question for my team.
Yeah,
Because, well, first of all, there are a lot of games coming up in December. I think that's something also people should take a look at. There are 7 game weeks in December. So,
yeah,
yeah, take a look. It will be very busy. And I think one way to cover the busy games is to have a bench that
mm,
is strong enough that you have some players that can come in because we should expect rotation. So what I'm thinking of doing is I might use my wild card in game week 14. I think my team can use a bit of a refresh, and then if I do it in 14, I can set up for the busy period of December.
Hmm.
And if I do that, it basically means that now for game week 13, I could use my transfer on a 1 week punt. So one player that might have a good score this week,
Yeah.
and I just keep him for this week. So in that case, I was wondering who should I go for, and I have currently I have Kudus in mind from West Ham, but I was wondering what the data would tell me.
I mean, for one game week punts, I will probably check what's the expected gain, and expected gain is
Yeah.
simply expected points multiplied with one minus ownership. So if a
Okay.
player is owned by almost everyone,
Yeah.
the impact of the XP is going to go to
Yes.
zero.
Yeah.
But by checking that by that metric, the player who's topping the chart is Solanke with
Okay.
4.73 gain, and
All right.
he's playing against Sheffield United. So I mean
Yeah.
that might be an interesting option.
Yeah.
And the second player is Eze with
Mm.
4.6 gain against
Yeah.
Luton Town away,
Mm-hmm.
but still he's a solid option.
Yeah.
And then the third player I see is Gibbs White with
Okay.
4.28 expected gain against Brighton at home.
All
I
right.
also checked Kudus for you, and
Yeah.
he's around 3.46
Yeah.
playing against Burnley at away. I
Mm.
mean, I think he's also a good option, but there are better options. But I feel like your eye test is kind of like motivating you to buy him. So by all means, go for it.
Yeah. I just, I like Kudus. I mentioned that before. I
Hmm.
know him from his Ajax seasons. He was always really strong, and I think we haven't seen the real potential of him yet in the Premier League. Even though recently he scored a great goal against Brentford,
Hmm.
and he's been doing better every week. But if Antonio is out now and maybe Bowen as well, then yeah, his role will become more important. So
Mm.
that's kind of betting on that. But for the rest, I like Solanke. I cannot get to him as an attacker.
Okay.
As I also like, but Luton away. I think we talked about that before. I think Luton away
It's a
is
fixture you avoid, I know, but
yeah.
they will
I mean,
eventually
yeah.
lose games. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they are losing, but just not
I
by
mean,
that
yeah,
much. It looks like a difficult place to go to.
yeah.
And Gibbs White, yeah, his name came up also in other weeks, but I think so far he hasn't really proven it. So I think I'll stay away from him. So yeah, I think you didn't convince me. I might stick to Kudus.
Okay. I mean, if you go for Kudus and then he brings lots of points, then you need to
Yes.
buy his jersey.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Okay, we'll review this again next week.
Okay.
All right, cool. But thanks in any case for giving me a few other options. Now to finish it for this week, as we usually do, let's also look at the captaincy options. And I think, yeah, you mentioned already before game week 13. It's quite a tough week.
Yeah.
So what are our options? Sorry.
So every model have either Holland or Son as the top
Mm.
choice. But
Yep.
if you check just the average, the ensemble model, we have Son leading it with 6.2 average expected points.
Yeah.
And then we have Holland at 5.93. So a small difference between the two of them. And then we have
Okay.
Salah at 4.9. But yeah, I keep hearing people saying that they kind of think that Liverpool will win against City. I think there's some
Hmm.
kind of like an expectation from some people. So they're thinking Salah might be a good captaincy choice.
Yeah.
And but yeah, in terms of EV, there's some difference between Haaland and Salah, almost one EV,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
1.3 between Son and Salah. And
Yeah.
we have Saka in the fourth place with 4.8, and Solanke with 4.85. Um, yeah, these are the top options. Looks
Yeah.
like.
Tough one. Tough one. Let's see. Do you know already what you will do
For the captaincy,
for the captaincy? Yeah.
I will captain Son. most probably.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about it as well. I was listening to the guys from the FPL Wire this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to them. They always have quite a good in-depth analysis also in terms of tactics. I think they were also saying that the way Aston Villa defend, like with quite a high line, it's what usually suits some. So to be honest, I don't normally think about it to
Mm-hmm.
that level of detail, but when I listen to something like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, makes sense. But yeah, the Spurs, of course, it's a bit difficult to know what we can expect with the injuries, with Madison out, also still some suspension. So yeah, but of course, Son is a quality player, and also during the international break, he has been scoring a few goals for Korea. So
Mm-hmm.
he's probably coming back feeling quite good. So yeah, why not? And it's a home game to
Yeah.
Villa. Looks pretty good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And any transfers you're already planning to make?
Any transfers? I think I will roll this game week,
Okay.
so that I will have like my two free transfers that I will carry. And
Yeah.
in
All right.
14,
That's
I'm
good.
planning to drop Burn, to get Guardiol, and then
Okay.
hopefully in game week 16 I will have the Salah to Haaland transition.
Oh.
So that's the master plan. Let's
Oh
see.
man.
But yeah, for this game week, I think I will roll. I
You're going
hope
to
I
miss
will
the Egyptian king.
roll. Yeah, probably, but yeah, it's important to
Let's
have
see.
Haaland by game week 16,
Yeah,
I think.
it's true. It's quite good to have the two of them. Just just letting you know.
Okay,
All
okay.
right. But for me, as I said, I probably will wildcard next week. So yeah, for this week, there are some yellow flags in the team as everyone is facing. So I think it's quite important to wait for the press conferences on Friday to see what kind of confirmations we're getting in terms of injuries, and then
Mm-hmm.
based on that, make some transfer decisions. In general, game week 13, we talked about it. The fixtures don't look too great, so I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's not the right moment to wildcard. Hence, I prefer to wait a week. And unless anything changes, what I will do is probably Mitoma out, Kudus in,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope my man will deliver this game week. Let's see.
Let's hope
All
so.
right. Anything else you wanted to cover today, Sertalp?
No, not really, but I mean, wildcarding in game week 14 is an interesting move. I feel like lots of people obviously wildcarded in game week 8 or around game week 8.
Yeah,
People who are keeping their wildcard, they're kind of waiting to see when the double will be
yeah,
announced, and then they are
yeah.
kind of waiting to use their wildcard towards game week 18. So
Right.
you're just at the middle of it. So
Yeah,
let's see if it will pay off or not. It will be interesting.
yeah. I didn't use it in 8 and 10 because my team looked decent, and I was also thinking like, you never know what will happen. More players could get injured, so that's something we're seeing at the moment. And even though my team is not too affected, like I don't have Bowen, I don't have Madison, but still, especially with all the games that come up in December, I think my team can use some refresh to just be better prepared for that busy period.
Okay.
But yeah, let's see. I know. I also see people saying, well, if you still have it now, it's better to wait till like game week 19 or 20 to benefit from that double. But yeah, no. Mm.
No, I made up my
We'll see.
mind. No.
Yeah, we'll see. I think at the
Okay.
moment
Yeah.
it's 14. All right. Let's still look at our mini league as we usually do. We have 337 managers in it. Thanks all for joining. You can still join if you're not in it yet. The code is 0JSDLA. Our league leader is still the 9-year-old Wyatt Haswell. Wyatt, you're doing great. Keep it up. His team is Fun in the Sun, and he has a total of 834 points. And his OR is 448. So that's pretty amazing. Well done, Wyatt. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, I could spot also his father, Derek Haswell, now on number 6 in the mini league. So yeah, the Haswell family is well represented in the mini league.
Exactly.
There's something going on there at that household. They're spending a lot of time on FPL. Yeah, well done,
Well done.
both of you. So that's yeah, he's number 6. So going back to our top three, number 2 is a new name. It's Doom9 with the team Bloom. That team has 833 points. And on number 3, we now have Matthew Allen, which I also think is a name we haven't seen yet before. His team is called Grand Haven Broncos, and he has 830 points. So they're all
Hmm.
quite close. Let's see how things will look like after game week 13. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah.
And for us here today, we'll close the episode. This was FPL Optimized Podcast episode number 67. Thanks for listening. Good luck with making your game week 13 decisions. As we said, it doesn't look like an easy game week, so we'll probably see some interesting scores. And naturally, though, we hope everyone will enjoy a green arrow. We'll be back with another episode next week. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you'll get notified when the next episode is released. And do follow us on Twitter. For Sertalp, it's at Sertalp Bilal, and for me, it's at Belfi BB. And you can also find us on YouTube.
And before I say my line to close the episode, just tell us about your jersey.
Oh yeah, jerseys. Thank you. Real Madrid. Actually, I thought I didn't have any jerseys left, but then I was looking in my closet, and somewhere at the bottom there was this old Real Madrid shirt sponsored by Hummel. In case
Hmm.
you didn't know, at one point they had Hummel. Where should I go here? And I looked it up. I couldn't find it exactly, but I think it's somewhere around the 1990s that they had this one. Yeah.
Okay, looks great on you.
All right. Thanks.
And until next time, stay curious and stay analytical. Goodbye.
Goodbye.